24 hours. That is all it takes. Just one day with a narcissist, your brain already begins to change. Your nervous system already bypassed and primed for locking you in to a survival loop. This isn't just emotional trauma or psychological manipulation. It is neurological reprogramming. And by the end of this video, you will not only see why, but this lesson has the ability to transform how you see everything about narcissistic abuse, how you see yourself, why you felt like you were losing your mind, why you couldn't just leave, and why even the smartest, strongest people you know wouldn't have seen it coming either. Because one of the most sinister and biologically manipulative parts about narcissistic abuse is that within just a few hours, your nervous system is already being tricked. It's not ignoring red flags that get you trapped. It's that your body's own command center, straight out the gate, gets hijacked into believing that you're safe. And why this is such a huge part of it all is because your nervous system is in charge of everything. Your thoughts, feelings, emotional regulation, your ability to learn, your memory. It regulates your breathing, heart rate, digestive system, how you heal, your movements, survival instincts, your gut instincts, and decides how you respond to any situation through the messages it sends back and forth from your brain to the various parts of your body and sensory system. And narcissists and psychopaths know how to bypass it all. But here is the craziest part about it. This occurs before they even shape-shift themselves in to your doppelganger, before they even get started prying you open for intel. They listen, they study, not so much as to what you're even saying, but they study your voice. And by doing this their whole lives, they become hyper-attuned, so they can quickly and precisely mimic your speech patterns with the same pace, tone, candor, mimicking your body language and hand gestures. Almost immediately, this provides you a feeling of being in sync, because this kind of mimicking is universally among humans and other animal breeds the most nonverbal form of communication for creating a sense of shared experience or predictability, and what contributes to providing this perception of what we interpret as familiarity and safety by subconsciously activating your mirror neurons. And because they can do this so quickly, easily, and without hesitation, it gives the illusion of familiar energy that gets interpreted by your nervous system as there being someone familiar. And because your brain likes what's familiar, predictable, and safe, once someone is associated to as being familiar, your brain resists trying to reclassify them, setting the stage for the chain of events to follow, and one of the main contributors as to why over the next few days and weeks, when they do go all glorified parrot on your ass, regurgitating and repeating back to you the same interests that you just shared, like they enjoy the same hobbies, experience the same hardships, and hate all the same foods as you, instead of your nervous system sounding off the alarms, detecting it to be a little bit fishy, or finding it odd that someone is so remarkably identical to you in every aspect. It doesn't see this deception, it sees a pattern. Patterns take less energy, less cognitive strain, and your brain's #1 job is to keep you alive in the least amount of effort possible. So with your guard down and your amygdala of the brain's fear center being in low alert, all the smoke they're blowing up your ass gets seen as safety. Every fraudulent similarity, your brain files it under familiar. And your reward center now starts throwing it a little party, chemically intoxicating you with hits of dopamine and oxytocin shooters. Because now your brain is in promotion mode, giving you this neurochemical green light to connect, which is why survivors often say that it's like they never clicked with someone so fast, or like they felt like they'd known them forever, because basically everything out of their mouth is something that is going to be neurologically triggering when they are trying to mirror and mimic every one of your likes, dislikes, hobbies, values, and beliefs. Even if you could consciously somehow see through their bullshit, you wouldn't be able to think through it logically. It's like trying to make a reasonable, rational decision while you're drunk off your ass on bourbon or whiskey. Mind you, though, this is all occurring in the first few days, sometimes maybe a couple of weeks. And they haven't even started hitting you up with their Hiroshima version of the love bomb yet. They don't go full force, balls to the wall, until you send the signal that you not only trust them, but you are now seeing them in these rose-colored goggles. That is when they make their move, and they make it quickly. Not only does this feel like you are in some kind of fairy tale, but it is legitimately almost euphoric. You just can't get enough of it. You start checking your phone, anxiously anticipating their next call, replaying messages just to hear a compliment, rereading text that they have strategically scripted with these dependency-provoking love letters. You start chasing the next hit of validation before they even really give you a good lesson or show you a thing or two about what withdrawal really does. Love bombing stage can last a couple weeks, even a couple months, depending on what they're getting out of it. And then they subtly start working in these little jabs and jokes and backhanded compliments. But because they have bombarded you and you have been flooded with Dr. Feelgood hormones, these feel like they hit you with a ton of bricks. You start seeing it as, how can someone who makes you feel so good now seem like they're trying to hurt you? And the more confused you get, the more they start to devalue and now start cutting down and chipping away at your confidence, your identity. Gaslighting begins. They start twisting facts, denying what they said. You start doubting your own judgment, your memory, as your brain is now associating their approval with your self-worth. You begin shifting your internal compass towards their emotional responses. This subtle intermittent reinforcement starts the early stages of trauma bonds. Thinking they love you, then they go cold. After a few more weeks, they start throwing in subtle bits of gaslighting. Erosion of self starts to occur. Are we okay? Is this just me? Beneath the surface, this reprogramming really starts to begin. You start doubting your memory, your tone, your needs. Their version of reality starts to override yours. You begin pre-editing your words to avoid reactions. You feel emotionally dysregulated. Over a few weeks, your stress starts to become more consistent. Your cortisol increases, causing your hippocampus, in charge of memory, logic, and learning, gets disrupted. Your brain starts prioritizing keeping the peace over being authentic to your true self. And this becomes the first fracture in your identity. The you starts to go quiet. Then they start to flip the switch even more. They're moody, distant, critical. They withdraw affection bit by bit. You start working harder to be good enough again, has starting to form this real trauma bond. Your identity starts to be tethered to their emotional state. Your confidence, self-worth start to slip. The confusion starts to take over. You stop asking, do they love me? And start asking, what did I do wrong for them to not love me? By month 3, they start beginning with the identity enmeshment. You feel drained, confused, but you can't imagine life without them. Your sense of self starts to dissolve even more. You isolate from your family and friends without even realizing it. You stop trusting your gut and always seem to make your decisions around them. Your goals, dreams, opinions are gone. You're defending them when they hurt you. Your inner voice now sounds like their voice. You no longer know what to believe without their approval, because your default mode network responsible for self-reflection gets hijacked. Their voice becomes your internal narrator. You are now walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around them, and any threat of abandonment registers as literal danger in your brain. You start defending them to others. You blame yourself. You cling to hope that they'll change. By month 4 to 6, you literally start to become a shell of who you once were. You're experiencing identity collapse and have become emotionally dependent upon them, that you no longer even recognize yourself. Freedom, enjoyment, or independence are but distant memories. Around 6 months, your sense of self is so fragmented, and you've become hypervigilant, scanning for signs of mood shifts, hidden meanings, emotional landmines, and are so emotionally drained. Your brain is purely in a survival mode. You feel like you can't survive without them. Your insula, the part of your brain that processes intuition and body awareness, is dulled, which is why you second guess your gut. And 1 year in, you're in nervous system burnout. You don't know right from left, up from down, truthhood from falsehood, or who the fuck you even are anymore. And the hopelessness, powerlessness, and helplessness that this inevitably will bring about sometimes becomes too much. And people don't make it out because they literally cannot see hope for better days to come. Because the longer you are enduring this abuse, the more damage it does to your mind, body, and soul. And why it is imperative that you leave is this only gets worse. These constant states of stress cause disruptions in your parasympathetic nervous system, leading to symptoms like increased heart rate, blood pressure, digestive issues, sleep disturbances, chronic fatigue, emotional numbing. Your hippocampus continues to shrink, affecting your memory and learning even more. Activation of your amygdala increases emotional responses and impairment of your prefrontal cortex, further affecting your decision-making and emotional regulation. Stress, keeping your cortisol levels elevated, imbalances in your serotonin and dopamine cause mood disorders. Negative pathways keep forming and maladapting your coping mechanisms, causing you not to just emotionally and neurologically change, but physically makes you ill, shrinks areas of your brain. And you're no longer living. You're barely surviving the day. You're not dramatic. You're not crazy. You were trauma trained from day one. But the same brain that bonded to them can now bond to you. You can reclaim your nervous system one micro truth at a time. Breathe. Say your name out loud. And remember, they hijacked your survival system, but they do not own you or your recovery. You are worth and deserve so much more than that. No one deserves the psychological warfare and neurological erosion that these fuckers put you through. Remember that. Fight for you. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist, or whatever you want to call them.